It's hard to think of another aircraft with a service history quite like this one. From wartime reconnaissance to meteorological research, mock combat with jet fighters, and now a treasured place in aviation heritage. This is the story of the Supermarine Spitfire PR19 PS853. This kit features 3 beautiful schemes, each representing a different chapter in PS853's extraordinary life. Scheme A is PS853 from the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight at RAF Binbrook, Lincolnshire, England, 1963. This aircraft famously took part in simulated air-to-air combat sorties with English electric Lightning F3s, an encounter few could have imagined at the time. After the retirement of the RAF's last operational Spitfire PR19s in 1957, the remaining aircraft from the temperature and humidity flight at RAF Woodvale were transferred to the newly formed historic aircraft flight at RAF Biggin Hill, the foundation of today's Battle of Britain Memorial Flight. PS853 was one of these 3 aircraft, but her story took a curious turn. Although she initially arrived at Biggin Hill, she was soon deemed surplus to requirements and flown to the Central Flight Establishment at West Raynham, where she was considered for use as a gate guardian. She was officially struck off charge in May 1958, but she never became a static display. Instead, PS853 continued flying, later receiving an overhaul at RAF St Athan. By the time she returned, the Central Flight Establishment had relocated to RAF Binbrook, and PS853 was brought back into charge, just in time for one of the most remarkable chapters in Spitfire history. Around this period, tensions in Southeast Asia saw RAF jets deployed to Malaysia in anticipation of possible encounters with older piston engine fighters such as the North American Mustang. This raised an important question: how would modern jet interceptors like the Gloucester Javelin or even the new English electric Lightning perform against such slower, more agile aircraft? To find out, the Air Fighting Development Squadron at Binbrook, led by a pilot with extensive experience in piston fighters and close ties to the Lightning programme, arranged a unique series of mock combat trials. The idea was simple: to test the world's fastest Mach 2 jet against one of the world's most legendary piston engine fighters, the Spitfire. PS853, now based at Binbrook, was flown against 2 brand new Lightning F3s delivered for trials and evaluation. And the results were fascinating. Despite being nearly 1,000 miles per hour slower, the Spitfire proved a surprisingly tricky target. Its small radar and infrared signature made it almost invisible to the Lightning's missiles, and its slower speed meant the jets had only a split second to engage before overshooting. If a Lightning slowed down to track the Spitfires more easily, it became vulnerable to the older aircraft's agility. And if PS853 had been armed, it could easily have turned the tables. In short, this technological mismatch actually worked in the Spitfire's favour. The Lightning's F3 variant lacked guns entirely, meaning the only way to win was with an accurate missile lock, something that proved extremely difficult. It's believed these trials were unofficial, conducted after regular Lightning development work each day, sometime between January and April 1964. And before long, PS853 was sent back to the historic flight, by then relocated to RAF Cuttishall. Though the feared encounters in Southeast Asia never came to pass, these remarkable mock battles gave PS853 an unforgettable place in aviation history. And her camouflage appearance during this period remains one of the most striking she ever wore. Scheme B is the same Spitfire at temperature and humidity flight, RAF Woodvale, Southport, Merseyside, in England 1956. For her days at Binbrook, PS853 served in a very different role, flying with the RAF's Meteorological Temperature and Humidity flight. These missions dated back to the 1920s, gathering vital weather data to support RAF operations. During and after the war, the work continued daily, with aircraft collecting atmospheric readings and observations used to produce detailed forecasts. By the 1950s, this task was handed to Short Brothers and Harland, operating former RAF aircraft under contract. The unit eventually settled at RAF Woodvale on the Sefton coast near Southport, with the Spitfire PR19 proving ideal for the job. Fast, stable and equipped with a pressurised cockpit, it could reach high altitudes and long ranges with ease. The aircraft's superb handling allowed pilots to focus on their instruments while collecting an array of pressure and temperature readings along set routes. Later, as part of the civilian meteorological research flight at RAF Woodvale, she experienced another minor mishap during 1957 at Home Day Air Show. The same event marked the end of Spitfire farm operations. After landing with engine trouble, she nosed over, damaging her propeller. When the unit disbanded the next day, PS853 was officially transferred to the RAF's new historic flight, alongside 2 other PR19s. Though once considered for Gate Guardian duties, she was never grounded. Instead, she remained airworthy and years later underwent a meticulous restoration to flying condition. In 1966, Rolls-Royce purchased PS853, and she has since become one of the jewels of their aviation heritage collection. Based at East Midlands Airport, she represents both the company's engineering legacy and the bravery of reconnaissance pilots who flew unarmed missions during the war. Wearing a scheme closely matching her 1945 appearance with No. 16 Squadron, PS853 looks ready even now to set off on another photo reconnaissance sortie, if not for the Rolls-Royce titles on her nose. Maintained to the highest standard, she's at regular air shows across the UK, a graceful display showcasing the ultimate evolution of the legendary Spitfire. Inside her immaculate hangar at East Midlands Airport, she shares space with some of Rolls-Royce's most advanced jet engines, a living link between the past and the future of aviation. 80 years after her construction, Spitfire PS853 remains a proud symbol of British engineering and a timeless reminder of the skill, courage and innovation that define the Spitfire's legacy. Which version of PS853 will you build? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.